How his children have to decide, how am I going to do this? My God.
Hey, Peggy.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh my gosh. Incredible. So fun. So fun. So fun. You know, I taught Roman history for years, and to actually finally get there was really cool. It was very fun.
Was this your first time, April?
Yeah, my first time in Italy. Yeah, but I had a wish list, and I didn't think I was there for the tennis, and I wasn't sure if our group schedule, would allow me to escape a little bit. But one morning we got rained out in the afternoon, and they had to reschedule matches. So I took off in the morning at about 5:30 in the morning and hit the Coliseum at sunrise, and it was perfect. So yeah, I'll send you some pics because you're not on my Instagram, so you don't see it, but I'll send you some pics. I was very happy with it. And then I walked around, went to where Caesar was murdered and all this, just all the history stuff, the aqueduct and, lots of hidden areas. And it was just fun. It was great.
Incredible just to be there and see it. I mean, I'm
Oh, yeah.
sure that feeling was unreal.
Yeah. And there was a wonderful pump club guide, Thomas, and I couldn't actually meet up with him, but he had offered to get a coffee, but I couldn't quite get there. But maybe next time. But we might be in Thal next year together, so I'll see him there. But
I have a camera question for you. I
okay.
was I was concerned about you with the rain over there. I was like, how are you going to take these shots? How do you clean your lens? How do you photograph in the rain?
Oh well, if we've got a long lens, it's like you can actually use the plastic cover of a loaf of bread. And yeah, and it that fits perfectly. You can buy all kinds of fancy covers, but a loaf of bread plastic works great. But I actually use my iPhone the entire time, and the pictures are amazing. And we have software that increases the pixel count. But yeah, it was fun. Okay, there's Uncle Nick.
What's up, guys?
Hey, boss.
Man,
How's it going? I see you went to Roma.
Yeah, it was amazing. It
It's
was
cool, right?
perfecto. Yeah, it was wonderful. And I had three gelatos while I was there, and I didn't care. And it was great.
Just three.
Just three. Yeah, but I was also only there for 5 days. So
Hey,
they were big
gelatos are
gelatos.
necessary.
This
I'm in
is
a
the
place
three.
where I can get them.
Well, the affogato was the best, which is gelato with espresso poured over the top, and that was my
Oh,
go-to.
that's my favorite.
oh, that sounds good.
It was so good.
I just popped into the meeting and that sounds delicious.
It was very good. And I got to go to Vatican City. That was wonderful. The Vatican
That's a cool
Museum was
tour.
amazing. It was the whole trip was fantastic. It was really good. And tennis,
It's,
the tennis was off the charts.
it's even cooler when you walk down one hallway and you realize in a span of about 20 feet, you've walked past like about $3 million.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
And then you times that by how many thousands of feet,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and you realize the wealth in that. That's why pound for pound, the Vatican is like the wealthiest place.
Yep. It's
City,
the
state
wealthiest
in the
country or
world.
state. Yep.
Yeah. I was not ready for the extensive collection of Egyptian artifacts. I wasn't ready for that. And it was phenomenal.
Well,
Really good.
there's an Egypt artifact sitting out front of the Vatican.
Oh, I know. There's obelisks everywhere. I
Yep.
mean, but yeah, it was just incredible. Anyway, it was very good. I'd go back in a heartbeat.
Yes, Rome is fun, except for the
Yeah.
pickpockets.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with that. You know, Pump Club, I would have wasted them.
Correct.
Or the scammers with the bracelets.
Oh, I just ignored the crowds. Like I said, I got up really early. I was there mainly for the tennis. The tennis was incredible. Svitolina beating Coco Gauff, but it was an amazing match. But anyway, I mean, I was mainly there for that. So it was the old Olympic Village from 1960. And so I felt very safe there. But the rest of Italy, the rest of Rome, I never took a bag with me. I just kept everything in my pocket. So
Yeah, that's what we should do. Or
yeah,
something
zip
to carry
pocket.
on the front.
Yeah.
I stayed with a fanny pack, but to be fair, because I was family, I had a whole security detail everywhere we went,
Oh, nice.
and because my cousin married the daughter of the ambassador to the Vatican,
Jeez.
so it was a whole like royal wedding,
Yeah.
and they met at college, and I got picked up by escortas, which is
Yeah.
two up armored BMWs. Then it was Roma police, no, Army, Roma police, and then the Cavalries, the feds. And then
Wow.
in as you know, stoplights and stop signs are suggestion there. They're
Yeah.
not it's not a thing if there's no one coming, you just keep going.
So are the lanes. It's a suggestion that might be 2 lanes.
Yeah. And they had these paddles. The lead car would signal everyone to stop, and we just keep going in the motorcade.
Wow.
And you got to the villa, and there was mafiosos at the bottom of the street, and the escortas
Yeah.
were like, "Don't talk to them. They work for us." And I was like, "Who are they?" They're like, he was like, "Mafia," and I was like, "Oh." I'm like, "Why do you guys?" He goes, "They help us, we help them, no problem."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, so they're still." And come to find out, the mafia owned the hotel that a lot of the friends and family were staying at in Rome. Um, so the mafia is still very prevalent. It's just they're not stacking bodies in the streets like they used to. It's very, quiet, very professional. Like there's a give and take there. And you go up into the street where the villa is. There's Italian army guards at the gate. You go in the gate. It's all Italian Secret Service. Then the villa has house workers. You don't even pour your own glass of orange juice in the morning. You come back from thing, your bed's all made, your laundry's all done. I'm like, I get used to this. And then out on we were out for the day, and my cousin was like, "Hey, watch what you say in the house." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes,
I'm bugged.
he goes, "Watch this." He goes, you say some wild shit. So watch what you say in the house. I was like, okay. But I just kind of didn't say shit when I was in the house because there were definitely people listening, and they were sure the Polish house worker was like a Russian spy or something.
It is. Yeah, it's real. There was a cardinal who passed away while we were
Seriously,
there, and the Pope was going to speak at 4 o'clock, and there were hundreds of thousands of people there. I've never seen so many people in my life. I've been all over the world in all kinds of cities, but this was absolutely freaking packed. But there we saw lots of polizia and lots of fully and semi-automatic weapons, clearly out in the open, not a big deal. And so everybody
the
was
Swiss
pretty
Guard,
well
they
behaved.
have if
Yeah,
you
the
look
Swiss
outside
Guards.
of their pike, they have
Yeah.
they have Glocks on the Glock 17s on their hips.
Wow. Cool. Anyway, yes, it was a fun trip. The prosciutto, we had 3-year-old prosciutto, and it's melt in your mouth. It's amazing. Everybody just go to Italy.
Was
Just
it
bucket
your
list.
first time in Rome?
It was my first time in Italy.
I
Yeah.
love hearing about people's first time in Rome because I feel
Yeah, it
like
was-
that's such a vivid experience because there's
Yes.
so much packed into that little city.
Mhm. Yeah.
Between the history, I heard you talking about, you can see where Caesar was stabbed, which is inhabited by cats.
300 of them estimated.
There's so many cats in that little thing. The Colosseum, and the Colosseum hits a little different when you realize they used to be able to fill it with water.
Yeah, I was fortunate. There were maybe 3 people there when I was there. I got the most amazing photos, and I was
That's
able to
cool.
lean through the gates and see, where the floor was, and got some naughty pictures through there. But it was amazing. But the Constantine Arch was, I wasn't expecting that. That was incredible. Anyway, everybody just has to go. Piazza Navona, I mean, just everything is amazing.
Yes.
Okay, form checks. Sorry.
Yeah. We can get that fired up. I was kind of letting people still trickle in, but the trickle is slowed down, so that's usually when I fire it up. I fired up my computer like 45 minutes early today just to make it in hopes it'd be not as slow, and that was it didn't change anything, but it's fine. Uh, there we go. 60 today. All right, so this looks like a modified, I say modified, but it just really depends on what you have access to with handle for a landmine or T-bar row. It looks like you did some chains and a T handle, which is just fine. He's going really heavy. He's a little bit more upright, so this is going to be hitting more of that upper back versus the big portion of our lats. Who's giant setting? Okay, right into some squats. Beautiful, Lucas. Almost a hair too deep. Reason being is we really dive deep into that butt wink or hip flexion. You're plenty deep. I mean, you could shave off, 2 inches and still be at or below depth, and still stay in a point where our hips are underneath of us versus coming through. At the end of the day, it's not super detrimental, not at this weight, but I'd like to see that polish that a little bit. The rows, I'd like to get us slightly more bent over. Yes, I love a big heavy row, but I don't want you doing all your rows like that. I want more of that mid back erector lat loaded heavily, which makes the row a little bit harder. But every now and then these big heavy rows, it's a good stimulus.
Deploy
Okay,
it.
so Nick, essentially slightly lower on weight on the T-bar row, and then this butt wink is not so super bad, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Just kind of be a little bit more in that hinge in the row, and then slightly, even if you've got to set like a box just below depth, not so
Probably
you sit on
approach it similar
just-
to Carl
just touch
upgrades.
it. So you have a physical marker of, okay, I'm at depth. So you ingrain the consistency of and re-pattern that new depth per se.
Okay, thank you.
Well done. Otherwise, you're moving very well. Dumbbell front squats. Clean them up. Nice. On the shoulder rack position, I like it. So, see this? We are way overextended onto our toes. You're making this way harder because we're way out of position. We need to be in that midfoot and heel when we squat. So you're squatting down and forward. I need you to sit to your heels. Imagine there's a chair behind you and you're reaching for it with your butt. You have to hinge slightly to get into that position. If your heels are coming up, you've gone too far forward. So we need to get deeper, but we need to get deeper in the right direction. So being that you're coming so far forward, I need you to sit back, and I would like to see these from the side so I can see exactly where your hips are going and cue your hips in properly. But we don't want to be here with with our squats to the point are rising up onto our toes. Your hips up, your posture, you're supported, all that look great. We just need to get you squatting in the right direction. Bart, these look great. You've got a nice hard input without jerking on the bar coming off the floor. Everything is in line and neutral here. We've got good leg drive. Hips are coming through. I'd like to see you accelerate those hips a little bit harder. Starting to get tired. Things are slowing down, but that's the nature of the beast. But fantastic set, man.
Thank you, Nick. I have a question because
Go ahead.
last time you mentioned that you sent a workup or a modification to Ben Riley deadlifts because I'm too gonna go to Tal and try to deadlift. And right now I know the 1 week deload, but then and I'm trying to get to the gym every time I have a deadlift in my day. So you mentioned something like peaking on the Tal, so getting high reps earlier and then slowing them down. But is it connected to maximizer strength, or could we incorporate this? Because I guess a lot of people will try to do a PR on the deadlift in Tal.
So narrow that down for me. Your question is what exactly?
I remember about the previous meetups that we should do a 1 week deload before the Tal,
Yes.
so the speed work only. And then what about 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before, just continue with our program, or could we modify it?
Yeah. So in a nutshell, yeah, that's correct. So ideally, I'd run someone up into a peak. Now, without being able to get hundreds of you, it's impossible for one human to do to safely peak and keep track and pay attention to numbers and bar speed and adjust on the fly. I've kind of done it in a very much more doable platform for people that have never done it before. So in the sense that about 2 to 3 weeks out, you kind of work up into some heavy triples, doubles, and singles. Nothing at a 10 out of 10 max. Nothing more than a 9.5 at the most, a little bit like 1 rep in the tank. So you have an idea of where you're at. And this is with fatigue and in your normal program. So in a peak, typically, like say for strongman, I spend about 4 weeks peaking. And then we have a taper and then a complete deload and then weigh, right? So this is even if you're not weighing in, you still have a deload because we need the body, the nervous system, everything to recover. And have access to as much power as possible. So that week prior, yes, when it comes to now, it's one lift, essentially you're testing. So you might not, in theory, need an entire week, right? You might need, realistically, 4 days, 5 days might be what's good for you. It's going to vary person to person, program to program, to kind of not go off on a rabbit hole here. But yes, if you want to play it safe, say we test deadlifts on Saturday, I'm not sure. This is just for example's sake. You're going to want to start that deload. Say your last heavy day will be the Saturday prior, and then Sunday's rest. Then Monday is speed and neural work. Then Tuesday rest. Then Wednesday another speed neural work day. Then rest. Then maybe have a training session Thursday that's like super light, like you're just doing some empty bar squats. You're moving, you're doing, 20 reps, kind of pulsing on squats, things like that, keeping the knees happy, keeping blood in the body, like moving, right? Blood in, blood out, blood heals. And then Friday is going to be completely off, and then Saturday you're going to run it. So you kind of have progressively lighter and lighter sessions, less and less load. Even your heavy session is going to be no more than 55%. So that's kind of how that works. And that's just to give your body a chance to recover. But so you don't go in flat. You don't go in not moving for several days. I've noticed, especially with me, if I take a whole week off, I go in dull. Like I'm not sharp. I've got to like have longer warm-ups. Whereas if I maintain some sort of movement, I'm sharp. I'm the iron's hot and I feel ready. So that's the purpose of a deload, to give some sort of stimulus so that we're still improving on a movement pattern, but we're not taxing. So that's really all that is.
Thank you, coach.
Of course.
Big weights going up in Austria, Bart. I know it.
Jonathan had a question in the app as well. I have that right here. While this loads, he said, it was about doing pin squats. We'll wait till we get to his pin squats. This is a deadlift PR. Come on. Okay, Jonathan. This was all back. You have virtually no legs. So you're basically stiff leg deadlifting this. See how there's virtually no leg drive, and we just kicked right into flexion. So two things. One, we get more leg drive into it, gives us more power on the table because we're utilizing the quads, the hamstrings, adductors, all that stuff. Legs are big muscles. We want to use them. Two, you're not in, look, your hips are at or slightly above your shoulder. So we're loading this lumbar extensively. And you're just hinging. So it's making the lift much harder. So I need you to kind of sit down into your hips a little bit more. Sit down into that power. So we actually utilize the legs. So your hips are going to have to come down to somewhere around here so the shoulders can rise, and you can initiate the pull by pushing the ground away with your feet. You think like kind of squat down into the deadlift slightly and leg press the bar off the floor. Don't hinge the bar off the floor. Push the ground away from underneath that bar, and that's going to be your legs doing the work. And then as the bar rises, it slowly transitions more into glute and back dominance. So congrats on the PR, but we've got to sort this because we're stiff leg deadlifting. Okay, so it is pin squats. He said, I found when doing them that I couldn't start from the bottom position like you're supposed to. I kept losing my balance and rocking back into my heels with the toes coming off the floor. So I ended up starting at the top and lowering the bar to get in position. Is this okay, or should I try to get up at the bottom? Yes and no. When you're new to pin squats, it's okay to start at the top and kind of get a feel for what it feels like coming down to a dead stop and then driving back up into the bar. But what I liked when with that position feeling so foreign, because it does, starting at the bottom of a squat, it changes how you generate tension, everything. It just feels incredibly different. What I urge you to do in warming up is take these squat arms and start them higher and start there in the bottom, and then do 1 or 2 reps and then drop them a hole. And then work your way down, acclimate starting at the bottom and working down into the depth versus just trying to go right into it. I still do that. I'll start, maybe 2-3 holes higher than where I know I'm going to be, and I work down into the depth and then start my sets. So I'm warmed up and it doesn't feel so foreign. But these look all right, man. We could get a little deeper, but I'm not so much as worried about the depth. The depth will come. We need to get you comfortable with pin squatting. Ben, what rep range was this today?
So this, I was going for 6.
Okay.
Oh, I wanted 6.
This is the 8-6-4 week.
Yes.
Okay.
No, it was not. Sorry, it was the 10-8-6.
10-8,
So I've
10-8-6.
I've been ratcheting up to this. So this was 125 kilos, which I can normally do. I was a bit annoyed that I felt my brace just leave on the 5th rep. You'll see.
That flew up. I love that. Good. 2. Yes. Setup. I'm loving the setup. Get your
I've
breath,
been working
and then
very
pow,
hard.
sit back into your hips. Boom, push the ground away. Waited for that bar to stabilize. Okay. What'd you feel there?
I just felt, if you can see it, my back just started going like that. It's almost like even though I was squeezing as hard as I could, I'd reached the limit of how long I could maintain that,
I
if that
mean,
makes
that wasn't
sense.
even bad. Like, honestly, like,
Perhaps I'm just being cautious.
yeah, you're being
Mm.
cautious because you just had the tweak, which I don't hate. Um, any other day without that tweak, pull through that because it was
Mhm.
so minute. But I love that you're able to notice it and tell the difference. So that's a good thing. That's good awareness. Um, and the fact that we discussed going into this proceeding with some caution, coming off the tweak. So
Yes.
you adhered to the
Yes.
protocol perfectly. I'm not really concerned that you didn't get 2 reps. The
Mm.
power's there. The way the bar speed didn't really change from the first rep to the 4th rep. So I'm not really worried about that. And we didn't make that cost too much. So going into the next iteration of the 8-6-4, you're going to have a better handle of knowing where you can start. So that's why we're progressing down from a 10-8-6. So each week you've got a better and better grasp for like, okay, my top set was 4. I was more fatigued. So when you start the 4-2-2, you're going to know that top set of that starting set of 4, you know that 4 is going to be at or heavier your top set of 4 when it was the 3rd set. Makes sense?
Yes.
So
No, of
this is
course, yes.
giving you a feeler. This is a workup progression. So it allows you to kind of know where you stand, both fresh and under fatigue. Meaning fresher on the first set, under fatigue on the 3rd set. And what that translates to is like, okay, I've got 4 any given day with the flu at this weight. I've got 6 any given day with the flu at this weight. And you said this was 120 kilo?
125. Yeah.
125 kilo for, I mean, if you'd have pushed, you could have pulled 6 there. I'm not
Yes. I
complete
agree.
confidence there. So meaning that you probably have 100 and anywhere from 120 to 130 kilo any given day for a set of 4. And that's good tangible info. So, you know that when you start with your 4, 2 weekish from now,
Yes.
you know that first working set's going to be somewhere around 125 plus kilo.
Yeah, I think I've worked out it's around 125 to 130 odd. I think I start at that
And
one.
we'll know a little bit more next week when it's an 8-6-4. So
Mhm.
odds are, if I had to guess, depending on, I mean, there's variables. If you were to, you're probably going to start that 8 at somewhere around 100-ish kilo, give or take. And then,
Yes, I thought about 110 to 115.
okay. And then you'll probably
Yeah.
go to about 120, 125 kilo for the 6th. And then
Yes.
we'll see where you end up on the 4. So That's you see how you have like as this goes on, when you did this, when you get to the next one, when you start your set at 8, you're probably more confident of where you're going to start because of the week prior.
Mm.
So this is more info for you than it is for me because I can kind of guess based on speed, reps, whatever. But you are kind of learning where your power's at on average with the good and bad days, because that's just how it goes. So you're going to have a much more better concept of where you should start working up, what you should warm up to, and where the working sets start. This is
grand.
teaching you baseline and lifting intuitively, but
Oh,
also
absolutely, of
priming
course.
you for a big pull in a way because you're getting heavier and heavier exposure.
I am pleased with like how it went, and as long as you've not got any concerns with how I'm moving. And as
Nope.
I did message you, and I said about, with the front squats, I was already tired because that workout had front squats first.
Yeah,
But
that's not
that's
the end of
good.
the world, and
All good information.
we developed a plan to how to kind of change those front squats to act as more of a primer versus a fatiguer, like they're kind of taking a back seat right now. They're assisting the deadlift versus being a priority.
Absolutely. So thank you very much. I shall update you on Saturday when I have the next lot.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Always. Nailed these. If these are just regular squats, I would bring those pins down another hole or two so you don't risk. They're there to catch if all else fails. Um, what we don't want is seeing that bar kick off one or the other and bring you up wonky because on higher effort, that could just bury you. So your squat looks great. Depth, you're in position. I've no issues with the squat mechanically. I would just lower those safety pins, one or two, if these aren't pin squats. If they are pin squats, then you're gonna actually need to stop and dead stop on the pin. But if they're not, get them out of the way. So they're there to catch, but don't interfere with the rep. Sloppy deadlift because of no over under. I mean, I wouldn't call it sloppy.
Wait for the last.
You're a little forward there. Yeah, I wouldn't call that sloppy. You got a little bit out front towards the end, but it was intact. You're just a little out front of your bar path. Because if we look, there, see how much forward we're getting? Our shoulders progressively ended up further out front on the bar.
Yes, I can see.
And then
And
you rolled
I
the
think
bar
it.
in, and it
Yes, because
exaggerated it.
after the third, it was I couldn't handle properly the barbell. So I think this was the problem.
Could be. This is just setup positioning. This is where grip not necessarily is the deciding factor. So I just need you to kind of push back into those hips a little bit, and that'll bring us a little bit more shoulder over the bar. Because what will happen when this gets heavy is when your shoulders are out front of the bar, as soon as that bar breaks off the floor, it'll swing forward underneath the shoulders away from you. Gravity will put that bar in alignment underneath where it's hanging from, and it's hanging from your shoulders. So this is why this is a fine-tune thing, right? This isn't your deadlift shit. Just so you know, that's not what this means. This is fine-tune. And it may not happen on every rep. I know for a fact I have reps where I might be a little behind, a little bit forward, just right. It's, again, I said this last week, this is like a chasing the dragon type thing. We're always going to be minutely adjusting our position to get it right, because it's just not possible, being humans, getting it right every single rep every single day. It's impossible. Even at the highest levels, it just gets more right overall more consistently. So yeah, just flip your hands over.
Yes, I will now, because obviously I've got to the weight I cannot handle. So
Yeah, when grip starts to fail, if you're double overhanding, switch to mixed grip. It's so much more advantageous.
right. Thank you, Nick.
Yes, ma'am. Marcus, these are good. The only thing really to give you better setup is stand all the way up with it, brace, and then hinge down into position. That's really the only thing. Overall, I like these. You've got a nice long bar path. It's staying close. You're rowing into that midsection. Great range of motion. Your positioning with the hinge is supported. You're not, rounded out. And flexion, you've got a nice neutral back. You've got a big squeeze at the top. You nailed these, man. Well done. Those look good. So you're coming down and you're getting forward. See how we roll out and then we're in that front foot? When you come down and contact the ground, I'd rather see you closer to this position, which means we've got to get our butt back a little bit. It's going to suck our knees back slightly. Our hips might rise ever so slightly, but that's okay. When you get heavier, that is going to become ever more challenging because we're so far forward of our midfoot. Everything else looks great. From the hips up, I mean, you're supported. That back doesn't break at all. I like it. We just need to adjust that starting position ever so slightly. There we go. She got up on the boxes, on the plates. Much better. This is at depth. I mean, you are right at it. How do I go back? I don't know how to make it not.
Harley, I know you're listening to this later. I just want to say you totally rock. And I love that
I'm here.
octopus. Oh, you are here. Hi.
Yes.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love watching your videos. They're so good.
Thanks. So, Nick, do I need to put it higher then?
I don't know what just happened there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Do I need to make it higher?
You are at depth.
Okay.
I mean, God damn it. I don't mean to do that. This is at depth. Any
Okay.
higher than that, it's above depth.
Okay.
So you could make it higher, yes. If that's higher than what you plan on squatting, without a box, then yes, I'd make it higher. Yes.
Okay. All right.
It's hard to do when your bench is um a fixed height
Yeah.
versus like if you got like some rogue boxes, like a low rogue box or a small box, or had the hubby build a small box, then you could stack plates on it to make it higher. It'd make your life a lot easier. Um, and you wouldn't have to sketchily probably step up on these because
Yeah.
I've done this and I get it. You could probably get away with some 10-pound bumpers on there, and then that'd probably put you confidently below depth.
Okay.
But yeah, or at that point, are these 45s on the bottom?
It's 35s and 25s.
If
I'm starting to lose weight if I put on
Yeah.
the 45s.
Yeah, okay. It's time for you to get a box, ma'am.
I told you I'm having to do purchases.
Yeah, just get a box like one that's like somewhere between 6 and 8 inches. So
Okay.
then like if you have step ups programmed, you can do heavy step ups with a squat bar, things like that. But when you do box squats, you can elevate it with things, a pad or whatever, something that's well below your seat depth. So you bring it up and then can lower it or raise it as needed per se, versus having to raise your foot platform and having to risk, Humpty Dumpty in your way up there. Because I mean, when you eat shit with weight on your back, it's never good.
And it is just like a touch and go. That's what I'm emphasizing on the box squat.
Yes, yeah, you're there's two types of box squats. There's ones where you completely like unload, you come down there, and then you come up explosively.
Mhm.
For you, it's more of a slight pause, the touch up. So it's like a 1/1000. So
Okay.
you're descending, so you're not bouncing off of it. You're descending gently. You're just arriving at the box. Because if you come down on it too hard, it can kick you forward, put you out of groove, or create some sort of compression, which we don't want. And it's really ingraining and marking that depth with like a pause. It's kind of making it a little bit harder, but ingraining the range of motion. So under heaviest load in a powerlifting meet without thinking about it, you're automatic with your depth.
Okay. That makes sense. Cool. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Good. Hinge looks great. We want to be careful on these not to get into extension, and then load that spine from the front end. They're more of a snatch grip. So we want to do these at your deadlift foot width. So we actually want to narrow you up a little bit in the feet and do this from a position that we deadlift in because it's assisting the deadlift. That's really it. And we want to maintain that grip width, even if you got to over under. Keep everything the same as a deadlift except the hinge.
Okay. And I'm gonna go up in weight, but I have that broken ring finger right now, so it's tough
It's okay.
to like.
Yeah.
But I know I can do more, and I have a tennis
I've no
elbow that
doubt.
I'm working on.
Let's see what we got here. These are the goblets. These are fine. These are great.
Okay.
Yeah, nailed these.
Awesome.
Well done.
Thanks, coach.
There's Colin. Yep, sit back. Keep pushing for that depth. There we go. I like that rep. These are good. This is going to take a few weeks of you getting used to this new input right here. And what that's gonna translate to um when we remove that band is you're gonna have an active drive outward to keep your knees over your feet versus letting them collapse in. Um, so we're building up that we're adding in, so we're supplementing something that forces some glute activation. Now I do this a little bit more with people on cerebral palsy than I do with people without it, because they require a little bit more of a physical input barrier to drive against, whereas this might be used in some workups for someone without the same thing. And you see a lot of people in the fitness world really put way too much time into these hip circles. I think they're good for what they're meant for. But some people do a whole workout with them, and I think that's just a waste of fucking time. It's not what they're meant for. But for this, it's a tool we can have Colin fight against to get him to activate things he wasn't activating prior. So that's all we're doing while trying to ingrain that deeper range of motion in his squat and using the Hatfield method. And this is going to take time. This is going to take weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to the point where he is able to do a solid rep just for one without the stabilization. But it's okay. As long as we're training the legs and we're getting the work, we can hit the other stuff using other methods. And he's not training for powerlifting. He wants to do a bodybuilding show. So I don't really care how we squat as long as we squat for him. Good. The seated cleaner presses. I don't know what the rep range is. But there's a lot of reps. Yeah, these are fine. I mean, it's light enough that you don't really have to snatch them. So the press, I like how the press is going. All good here. Good. Sat back a little too far. That's what gave us that wiggle. Point those toes slightly out. We're still kind of two-piecing it. Our leg drive and our hinge is coming in super late. So our hips should be advancing before our knees are locked out. That was better. So we're out front too. See how far away That is, that bar's over our toes versus like our midfoot. See how that bar has to roll in as it comes up off the floor? That's why you see the bar doing this on the way up. Bar comes up, it kicks towards you, and momentum brings it back out. So that's what's creating that of the bar, the zigzag, is because we're starting a little bit too out front. So let's get those toes pointed slightly out. Let's get that bar somewhere slightly over our midfoot. Now it's gonna vary person to person, but midfoot close to the shin. A good example would be Carly was messing with this weeks ago. I'm kind of like, where do I look down and put the bar over my foot? And it's usually like about a 3-inch space between the tongue where it's up against your ankle and then the shoelaces on top of the foot. That somewhere in there is the sweet spot for everyone. The deviance is person to person. But that midfoot, we don't want it towards the end of our shoe. So if you look down, you're underneath the bar, it should be somewhere over that midfoot. So when we go down to the bar and we get into knee flexion, our shins kind of start to angle forward, it closes that gap. If we get too close when we sit down into it, it pushes the bar away from us. If we're too far away, it does this. The bar has to swing back towards us. So it's a very fine-tuned little thing, but we'll clean that pull up significantly. Her hinge pattern, though, looked good. We could push a little bit deeper, Barrett. You're flirting with, you're getting shallower now. But a couple of these reps are flirting with parallel. Really sit down into it. If you've got to put a box or a chair to mark the depth for yourself so you have a physical input, that's fine. I love that you've got just like a fistful of weights. That's awesome. Making it work. Your actual squat, though, isn't bad. We could get away with a little bit more of some potential vertical angle in the torso. You could put something underneath your heels that'll probably feel a little bit more easier, a little bit more natural, sitting down into that to give us a little bit better of an angle in our squat, and that's okay. Something, I don't know, 1/4 inch thick, something thin, just to slightly elevate those heels. It's hard to tell. Overall, these look good. But Richard, I want to see if possible, can you elevate the camera so I can see over the plate so I can see where that bar is in relevance to your body? Because it's hard to see from this angle. So, if
Like
possible,
to the side, maybe.
yeah, if possible from the side, but put me at like hip height so I can see down the side and over the plate.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
These don't, nothing's standing out, but there's one thing where it comes to where the bar is, but it's hard to see from this angle, and I don't want to cue it if it's not an issue, but I've got a hunch, so I want to see it before I talk out of my ass.
I got it.
Good job. Great rack position. Nailed these. I like it. Next week on these, send me one from the back, straight on.
Got it.
Looking good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Looking good. I mean, once it clicked for you, it clicked. Like that was you're kind of automatic now, week to week, which is really, really good to see.
Some spots really helped after you told me to switch my position. After that, it was more just like getting the form down.
Mm-hmm. Good. Same thing here. Send me one straight on from the back.
Got it. Sounds good. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir. So what movement is this? Is this a lateral raise or is this a rear delt? Because we're kind of in the middle. So if we're supposed to be a lateral raise, we need to be more upright. If this is a rear delt raise, we need to be a little bit more over. And instead of coming out like this, I turn those down so we get more of those elbows high and we load that rear delt more versus like this. So here, think about you're pulling them apart versus coming out. But that depends on which raise variation this is. I'm not sure. Moving forward, I should have said this ages ago. If possible, up here, if you can tell me what the target movement is, because like, no offense, if this is you, if you send me something and you're doing stiff leg deadlifts, but you're actually trying to deadlift and you're just jacked up or don't know the difference, and I'm like, oh, that's a great stiff leg deadlift. And then I see in the comment section, like, I was conventional deadlifting. Well, no, you weren't. So it just helps me coach it appropriately. So I know what exactly the target movement is. So if you look in the program, you're like, oh, I'm doing preacher curls or barbell clean and press or conventional deadlift or trap bar deadlift or whatever, put that for me. So, I mean, obviously I know what the fuck a trap bar is, so disregard that one. It looks entirely different than a straight bar. But whether it's stiff leg, RDL, conventional rear delt raise, lateral raise, front raise, whatever it is. So if you're not quite on plane or moving correctly in the pattern, I know what your goal is for that movement and I can coach it more effectively. So like that last one is what made me say that is kind of in between two and I wasn't sure. Like this I know is a lateral raise. So he's standing pretty much vertical. I'd like to see those pinkies turn up slightly so we keep that main meaty portion of the shoulder loaded versus coming out here and flaring. So we're then using our back instead of our shoulders. So like for this, I've been like lateral raise or shoulder raise or whatever the program says. Then I can kind of target that a little bit better. But Paul, for you, if that is in fact the lateral raise, we need to get you continuing up instead of coming back and squeezing with that back and really reaching out and around and loading that delt. Boom. Mark, you absolutely nailed this time.
Cool.
Those are gorgeous.
Excellent. Thank you.
So Mark was kind of blazing through his sets. Like walking out, dropping into it, not really setting up. His squat, although looked good, we wanted to tidy it up. So I had him kind of slow everything down from the point of him getting down to the bottom and then firing out of the hole. And I mean, he took his time here, look, getting in rack position, walking out, got set. I'd like to see a slightly longer pause right there.
Yeah.
Before you descend. So it'd be like dip, bip, bip, stop, squat. Tempo looks good. You're not diving into it. I mean, look how rigid. There's no dip in the upper body. I mean, the squat itself looks absolutely fantastic. The only thing we need to clean up in this whole process is this moment right here. I want to see you tight, elbows high, squeeze your butt, then dip. So like 1/1002 squat, that's all the longer it should take to brace.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yes, sir. But I'm over the moon with how you're moving as a whole. Same thing. All the power in the world, too. Just flying up out of those. I love it. Okay. Ooh. All right, Roland. So, A, keep this underhand straight. We don't want to load that bicep too much. B, look how far past the bar our knees are. So what's having to happen is you come up, you just have to fly back before the bar even moves. So you've already created a bunch of motion that doesn't even go into the bar. Look, it's like, come on, pause. Thank you. The bar hasn't even left the floor and your body's moved 4 inches. Knees coming back, hips flying up. See, bar's not even off the ground. Now the bar's off the ground. Our position is entirely different. So that means we need to get this to translate to the floor. So we might have to put that bar slightly further away so we have the clearance and it's directly underneath our shoulders because it's slightly behind. We want to straighten this arm, make it straight. In our hip position, so your starting position looks like this right now. And we're going to bring these hips up to right about here, and these knees are going to suck back slightly. And that's going to give you clearance. So those are the main 2 things that need to happen. So submit again next week, please. And I want to see the hips higher so the knees come back, and then we can polish from there. We're losing a little position in the lumbar. But that's your brace, Jacqueline. So we want to make sure this portion of our body is rock solid. And I don't mean that from like an aesthetic standpoint. I mean that, look, here we're good. Look at this. It's pretty neutral here. My main concern is lumbar. This lower back where the pants line is, all the way up to right about where the kidneys are, that whole lumbar section, tailbone to lower back is really what I'm focusing on. Thoracic flexion, not so much I'm worried about. We've got a lot more muscle mass up there to support. I think part of it is the plates are so small in diameter, so we have to go further. So it's more like a deficit. But that being said, we need more leg drive potentially. So you're hinging, you're squatting and hinging, and then boom, it's just hinged the last like 4 inches. So what that needs to look like is instead of reaching with that lumbar for the last 4 inches, we make it up with our legs. We get down there and we leg press the bar off the floor before our glutes really get into the lift. So we want to get more quad engagement. So you're going to have to sit a little bit more and imagine keeping that belly button pushed out to the. So instead of collapsing, we want to keep that belly button pushed out when we brace down and squeeze. Because I've got a feeling you've got plenty of power available. It's just we need to get you into position. And food for thought is if you wanted to do a conventional deadlift height, you got a measuring tape. The center of the barbell to the floor is 9 inches. So you can elevate them on other plates or whatever to create that 9-inch gap so you don't necessarily have to go to a deficit, or if you want to keep doing it at the deficit, that's fine. But shortening that last extra, 2, 3, 4 inches, whatever it is, might make that feel a little bit easier as far as positioning. This looks better. The only thing now is we need to get you to stop folding. There, you did it much better on that rep. Third rep looked much more of what we want it to be. So squeeze with that upper back. Squeeze that upper back together the entire time. And as you're descending down into that hole, I want you driving actively into the bar, especially when we come up out of the hole. So it doesn't give you that subtle little fold in the upper rib cage. Squeeze with the upper back. But the heel elevation, it definitely looks much better now with where your hips are moving. When you come out of the hole, I want you to immediately start pressing towards your face. You see how you press up and they go away and then they have to arc around? I want you to immediately input towards your face. Squeeze your butt, slight arch in the back, full body tension. I see you're breathing in the hole. That's another thing. When we're moving the weight on a compound lift, like a bench press, squat, deadlift, whatever, you're bracing at the top. So you're pressing, exhale, brace, down, squeezing that breath, press, rebreathe. And I bet, I'm willing to put money, you feel a whole lot more power coming up out of the hole too. Same thing with, let's kick this leg back slightly, somewhere around here. And I want to see that lumbar nice and neutral. So proud chest. Otherwise, your actual row path is fantastic. You've got a great range of motion. You got a slight squeeze at the top. So let's kick the dumbbell side foot back slightly, so that will allow for a much more neutral. So instead of being here, we go here, and we're allowed to. It allows us to open up that thing, so we're not as hamstring heavy in that position of potentially pulling us into flexion. This opens us up, and I'm kind of on my toes slightly with my back foot and middle my foot with my front foot, and it reduces the tension in the hamstring and lower back, and allows us to maintain a little bit more of lumbar neutral. But the actual row itself looks great. These are good. You're not letting the hips rise up. You could even potentially get the hips a little bit lower. With those, you could even try the grip like a triangle underneath the plate and pull that way, and you might get a little bit more, might feel a little bit more natural because they're closer together as far as even, versus grabbing it like this. Here, that's how I hold them, and I pull that way. Or I kind of cup my fingertips around the plate, depending on the plate size of the dumbbell, and pull like that. Much better. This is much more tricep focused. Well done. Lunges look fantastic. Nice control, not bouncing off the floor. No change in posture from the hips up. Everything is where it should be. Well done. Overall, it looks really good, Tish. It appears you're pressing towards your face. The main thing for you is when you unrack, I want to see you brace all of this. I want to see you pack those lats, retract those shoulders. Put your shoulders in your back pocket is how I cue it. So instead of coming out and being spread out, we actually take our shoulders and we roll them back and down. So it actually keeps my chest proud, and I don't get this big shoulder variation. They're back and down. So I'm pressing with my lats out of the hole. You'll feel your lats flex when you do this. And my chest and some delt versus really bearing it in the shoulder joint, being spread out. Slight arch in the backs, squeezing our butt, driving our legs into the floor. When you unrack, you want to snap that bar and roll your shoulders back and down.
Gotcha.
Having a rack's nice, isn't it?
It is nice. It's taking some getting used to though, and I'm a little short, so I have to stand on a plate to reach where I put the hooks. It's a little awkward.
A little bit lower.
Okay.
So the goal is to get this hip line to break the
Mhm.
top of the knee.
Okay.
You're bracing everything from the hips up is on point.
Okay.
So we just need you. I just need you to sit. Just keep
little lower.
sitting a little bit lower.
Okay.
When you unrack this, what looks like indecisiveness here, and you kind of like, yeah, I'm ready, and then go into it. Brace, squeeze your butt, bear down into that rib cage, sit.
Okay.
Generate tension.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Barbell clean. Good. Immediately get those elbows all the way underneath. When it lands, punch them through. Get into the rack position. This is pretty good. To make this a true clean position, Robert, we're gonna actually get slightly wider with our hands, and our butt's gonna drop just a little bit. Reason being, it puts us in a position for those hips to fire through sooner. But you're moving this, you're hinging in a good, strong pattern anyway. Yeah, all the other barbell disciplines, especially Olympic, this is how they make fun of strongman for cleaning the barbell, because we clean it in a deadlift pattern because our hinge patterns are so strong. We get away with it, and we basically deadlift our cleans off the floor because our threshold for our deadlift acceleration is so much higher than, say, that of an Olympic lifter, because it's not a primary discipline, it's an assistance for their main disciplines. Whereas we have that threshold, we can get away with it. So dare I say, you're cleaning the barbell like a strong man. And that's okay. If the power's there, it might limit you down the road. Whereas, so I'm clean and pressing almost 4, and I'm deadlifting around 8, right? So I have a 2 times gap. So my speed work threshold is, my 50%'s like 400, anywhere from any given day, 300 to 400. So that ability to accelerate the bar, my speed work falls into my clean and press weight. So this is why this is important. As you get deeper in the game of cleaning and pressing, is being in a position where the bar is still moving with acceleration, unless you're going to squat jerk it, which is a whole nother technique. This is by nature a power clean, because we're using power and speed. Set 1 with fat grips. That's a bold move, Cotton. Makes things harder. Fat
you don't see
grips
that
are
very
these
often.
rubber grips that just basically turn a barbell from a barbell to holding onto this. It just makes it harder. It's like having 2 Coke cans in your hands. Deadlift looks good. I know that thing's hard as shit to hold on to. Well done. $290 second set.
Yeah.
Second rep was much better in line.
Is it time already?
No, I was wondering, did you send?
Yes, I attached it to the,
Oh, was it?
to the,
Michael, these look real. That was a really good set. got a little out front, but it didn't stop the accelerating. That's fine. It happens. Beautiful rep. Well done. Michael, overall, I am pretty ecstatic with your deadlifts this week. Um, you just need to keep ticking on, man. Like honestly, your pulls are so automatic. You're down to the bar, you're set up, you're in position, you input. Every now and then your hips kick up ever so slightly, but it's not every single rep. So I'm not stressing about it. Like your most fatigued rep on your third set was one of the best. Which it's pointless for me to really throw a cue at you at that point because you did what you're supposed to do under fatigue and it looked fantastic. And the bar speed didn't really change all that much in between each rep. So that means we've got horsepower. Your movement pattern's beautiful. Just keep ticking on with these, man. I'm really liking how your deadlift's progressing. You're well on your way to that 400-pound goal.
Thank you.
That was really exciting to see top set like so clean. Giannis, think leg drive up the bench a little bit more versus up in the air. Your bar path's great. Same thing I cued Tish in with at the beginning when you unrack was you just kind of came out and then just kind of went down into it versus really tightening that back up and putting our shoulder blades into our back pockets and getting everything tight up here. See how our shoulders are rolled forward? Means they're not underneath of us. But your bar path is great. This is a good sign for the reason of you're using leg drive. That I do want to see. But I don't want to see you kicking your butt up into the air because that changes the angle of the overall press in a way. So I want you to imagine driving up the bench, not up in the air. This is not a deadlift, Giannis. It says deadlift. This is not a deadlift. I think you had an oopsie, Giannis. You just accidentally submitted your incline press twice. Someone's drawn on my screen again. Sandra, these are solid. I'd like to see you get a little bit longer. So we get that closer to the entire range of motion and we build some power out of the hole. But reason being why that out of the hole is harder is because it forces us to kind of stretch into the back and then re-engage versus maintaining tension. It's kind of the same concept as a touch and go deadlift or retaining tension. So the reps after that become a little bit easier versus that dead stop. So you've got a strong pull-up, Sandra. I just want to see you elongate that range of motion a little bit more so we get that full ramen there and work with that because that out of the hole power is important. Long muscle, strong muscle. And you can flex on dudes that you can do more pull-ups than you, Savage. So good job. These are good. Very clean. We might be able to get your feet slightly more together. Let those arms come in a little bit more. Reason being, I'd like to use a little bit more of your arm length to your advantage. And that will in turn maybe bring our hips down slightly and activate more quad drive out of the hole. This is a chin up. Same cue as the pull up. Beautiful. Get set. We're just high. That's it. Your squat looks really good. We just need to get deeper. You're coming slightly forward. So we have this deviation at the bottom. You also subtly collapse here in this upper rib cage versus bearing down, squeezing that back, bearing down into that rib cage. And we're coming slightly forward. And I think that is partially what is limiting your depth. I want to see you in that midfoot to heel a bit more. So we're sitting down behind our heels versus that travel forward. Right there is where it comes forward. Down, then forward. So if we eliminate that forward transition in the hole, that depth is going to feel much more in the middle of that foot, and you should be able to sit down a little bit easier. We've got a ton of power. I love the speed on that, but I want to see it in the full range of motion. Well done. Barbell high pull. So this is good. I want to see more. I want you to get more of your legs into it. This is basically a less leg drive version. So you're staying vertical the whole time. I want to see, we're going to do it from a hang. So we're going to hinge back like an RDL, and then we're going to push the ground away and jump into that extension just like you were doing. This will get more of that leg drive into the movement. So we're going to hinge back slightly, subtle bend at the knees, fire. Bent over rows. Let's see what we got. Pretty good. I'd like to see rowing more towards that belly button, and maybe let's go a little bit more of a hinge, because that is incredibly light. So I'd like to see that loaded, because it just seems like you're kind of playing around with it. It's so light. Another option is to deadlift the bar with plates. Do it on the floor, deadlift it, stand up, brace, hinge down into it. But you're kind of holding it slightly out front, which means it's too light because you can't do that when it's heavier for you. I'd like to see it with some weight on and see what it looks like with some effort due to load. But it doesn't look bad at all. Bring that bar in close. Okay. So you did a bunch of good things in the lead up to it. So you got into position, but that bar is so far away from you, it just pulled you out of position. So we need to get into position, drop our butt just a little bit, and use our legs. So this cat-cow, fine, good. Activation cue. This is good. This is good right here. I'm liking this. But this bar is so far away, you made the deadlift heavier because of the leverage. So what that means is you need to bring that bar in and you need to sit back into your hips. Now that you've figured out how to get into position, you need to get the bar into position and get you loaded in that midfoot and heel. So bring that bar in, sit back a little bit more, and push the ground away. No more touch and go. What you were doing here is touch and go. So see how that bar swung in? See how slow it was off the floor? You're closer, but this is touching and going. I want you dead stop, and I want you to stand up. We're going to cluster your sets. So cluster is a tool I really like for people that are either powerlifting, working on setup, or just working on setup in general, because it forces you to stop, stand up, reset up on the bar. And that's what we're going to do for you. So you're literally going to walk up to the bar, race, get in position, deadlift, down, step back, step up, down, set up, lift, down, step back, step up, lift, down, and rinse and repeat every single rep. So we get reps in on your setup, not just on the lift. Because realistically, right now, you've got strength. Strength isn't the issue. It's where you're positioning your body and getting your setup consistent. So it's even looking better. You got that lumbar in position. You did the cat-cow correctly. The bar's too far away from you. And we need to get you back into position. Much better. Much better on the squats. It's hard to see with the angle because the plates cover your midsection. If possible, send it. If you could put the camera behind you off to the side at a 45, so I still have a side angle, but I'm around the plate so I can see your entire midsection when you squat, that would give me a lot more info. But I can already tell how this is moving and the direction you're descending. This is much bigger of a step in the right direction. So that's really, really good to see, man. Well done. A little bit of a breakthrough on your squat there. That's good. That's exciting. Landmine hack squat. Deeper. These aren't something you see. This is some old school shit. So this is cool to see people out here doing. I've done these. These are fun. Sit deeper. Realistically, we want to have you. Come on, internet glitching through reps. Realistically, we want your hips somewhere, that hip crease somewhere down here. So just got to sit a little bit deeper, but you're doing good. You're driving back up into it in the right plane. All of that looks good. Everything looks intact. We just need to get you deeper.
Didn't have a back squat, so front it is, Nick.
All good.
So I'm just wondering about the tempo, right? Because that's what you want me to work on.
Yes. These are great.
Okay. But I was dead on Monday. Those were a struggle.
I mean, depth, absolutely nailed. Tempo, you're supported. Those elbows are out front. You're bracing. Look at that. Boom.
Yeah.
Fire right back up into that bar. I mean, I love it. Well done.
Okay. Cool.
Keep,
So
keep at this.
okay, so I'll send you the back squat next time just to work on the tempo then.
Sounds
Thank
good. Yeah, keep that tempo in there because I know it hurts our egos because we have to lift lighter. But
Yeah.
when we start going back up to full speed, you've got power you've never had before.
Okay, cool.
Mike, much better. Look at this. Nice neutral back from the tailbone all the way up to that C-spine. Well done. Love it. There we go. We've got a box. Let's bring your feet in closer. See how we're having to roll in? Yep, you naturally did it. See how we're having to roll in on that foot? Bring your feet in closer. And we want our femur, if you film yourself from the front, you can send it to me as well too. If you film yourself on the front, what we want to do is we want to stack from the hips down the femur, over the tibia, down to the foot in a nice linear line. Whether it's at an angle like this, we don't want any rolling in or deviance because we want input to go from the hips and the glutes all the way into the floor in a nice straight line. A direct line to power, if you will. So I want to see you bring those in just a little bit and see how that looks. But your squat is looking much better collectively. Haven't even watched the video, but I love this position, Elizabeth. Yes, snappy on the way up. Power. Good glute squeeze. Elizabeth, well done. Great pattern. Great hinge. You're nailing these. She got a strong back. Like, I mean, she's mechanical. I love this. Well done. All right, Stefan, you see how our elbows are behind. Go ahead, Andres. You see it. Let me hear it. What am I about to say?
Yeah, so his elbows are like flexed to the front, and also his elbows down way too much, so he needs to bring the weights up to here, like 90 degree, and then put those elbows out a little bit, like 30 degrees, and then push up and down.
Yes, not so much the height, right? What we're really looking for is input, right? So he can go low if he has the range of motion.
Okay.
You don't have to be pinned out here. You can be somewhere, say, kind of 3/4. It's not a neutral grip, but you can kind of be 3/4 somewhere natural position. You don't have to be pinned out at that 90. I go slightly below 90 just because I have that range of motion and it puts me in my strict press range of motion with a barbell. But you're on you nailed it at the beginning, was his elbows are behind his wrists. So he's in turn, his bar path goes out front. It's in front of his head. Now it's so light he can do it. But when you get heavier, it's gonna fall away from you. You're not gonna be able to maintain that. So Stefan, what I want to see from you is I want you to take these elbows and I want you to put your fists back so your elbows are underneath.
Okay.
Now I don't want you to press out here. I want you to press back towards the top of your head.
Okay.
This direction. So our input to power is directly under the weight and we're driving over our center versus out front.
Okay, I try.
That's really it. So let me see you strict press again next week. Because when you get that correct, you're gonna be like, holy shit, this feels even lighter. It's gonna feel like you took 10 pounds off each side because that's this game is leverage. And when we get power, the input, the track of where our power goes in line, and then we get that bar path, so it's advantageous to our center of gravity. It's like the weight feels totally different when we first start getting the hang of it. So elbows forward or fists come back more. Either way, we want a straight line, and we're pressing over the top of our head, not to the front of our head.
Okay, cool.
So Jacqueline just joined. We already hit yours. We just for simplicity, I'd get more of your foot on top of the chair, so it's kind of like right here, so it doesn't feel as wonky. And I would like to see you be a little bit more upright in the torso so we can sit deeper. You might have to take a half step forward because the knee is having trouble. There we go. That was better. I take a half step forward so it feels a little bit easier to kind of fit between your focus point out front. It might feel a little smoother. Overall, pretty good, Brighton. Heavy pulls. I'd like to see you setting that lower back a little bit more before you pull, making that part of your brace where we push that belly button out just a little bit, but we're not far off of neutral. Not there. That's a bad spot. So you looking, getting your position here. That's okay. This isn't bad. This isn't a ton of flexion. But when you brace right before you pull, I want you to remember, push that belly button to the floor and push that tension back into your glutes so that tailbone turns to the sky a little bit and we get a nice neutral lumbar. But the overall pull doesn't look bad at all. Everything's in, I mean, you're right over the bar. everything looked together for the most part. This looks like a rack pull. Yeah. Much more glute and back dominant. A little bit of hamstring. Good. Accelerate those hips to the bar. Same thing. Work on that cue, that activation of that midsection, that core, that lumbar. Getting it into position and squeezing for dear life and holding it there. Because that translates for sure. Rack pulls overall look great. Good. Nice high elbow position. Deep rack. Some heel elevation. Absolutely buries him like a forklift man. Has tension the whole time. See, I have no problem with the speed when he has tension. So he's got plenty of tension. He's not deviating from movement pattern. Now he's getting tired, so we're gonna see what happens. Yeah, slowing down. Now they're singles. Good job. Well done. The only other thing to maintain tension in that upper back, when you get into that position, fire the elbows out just a little bit. That generates upper back tension. So when we do get fatigued, it keeps us from collapsing. But your front squats look fantastic. You move very well.
So quick question. So keep the hands where they are and just push the elbows out?
Yeah.
Is what you're saying?
So I'm exaggerating it because I don't have a bar in my hands. You're literally just going bit. But what it's going to look like with weight in your hands, it's not going to let you go that far. It's literally going to look like this. It's very
Gotcha.
subtle, but it activates this right here in the upper back.
So would that be a potential reason why my upper back always feels fatigued and sore at the end of front squats?
I
'Cause
mean,
I'm not
the
doing
fact
that?
that it's front squats and it's taxing the length of your posterior chain, yes. But as you get tired, you see how this subtly starts to kind of break down.
Mm-hmm.
It's very subtle. That cue, that activation will help fight that. It's just
Gotcha.
an active approach to fighting it versus passive. But it's not uncommon to feel that soreness and stuff in the upper back with front squats because of where the load is on your body and how hard the erectors and everything have to work to keep you in position from dumping the bar. They're harder. Oh man, glitched on me. Overall, these are great. Subtle thing, if you're here when I was cueing Brighton, same thing. I want to see you activating that lower back. So pushing that belly button to the floor and setting the lumbar to neutral so we get rid of this flexion. This isn't much. It's not catastrophic. You shouldn't lose sleep over this. But we want to set, when we get in position, see how I'm slightly curved?
Yep.
I'm just setting it. Now my whole back's neutral. I don't care about thoracic flexion as much. It is something, you'll hear me say this, it's something I use to my advantage because of my long arms, and I have a lot of meat up here to generate tension and absorb the load that's in my hands. with that lumbar where the torsion is high, we want to set and brace as hard as possible. So when we get out of that flexion, we push our belly button to the floor, tilt that tailbone to the sky. What it looks like when you pull in is I'm pulling myself back into my hips, and I feel that tension go through my hamstring and my glutes. And it's going to be a very subtle change from this. It's not going to be huge, but it's something that it would probably benefit you to record and watch yourself. Just, you don't even have to, you could just load a plate on the bar and just practice pulling yourself into the bar.
Yep, understood. I submitted a video a while back with much lower weight and things were good there, but this is getting up closer to the higher
Okay.
end. So wanted to kind of check it out and see what might have been deviating now that it's getting heavier.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't even really think it's the load. Watching you set up, you never set this part of your back. So you got in a position and you have a great position. But see how that never set? You never push back into those glutes. You just pulled. You set all this. I mean, you've got great lat tension. And we have some thoracic flexion again. Don't. All right. Well, that is it for the form checks. So
Just
we
wanted to say
know-
thanks. It kind of cut out on me there for a little bit, but
Oh,
thanks
yeah, I
for-
didn't hear you.
thanks for-
My bad.
It's all good.
Yeah, anytime, man. Keep them coming. You're moving well. Benoit, hit me.
Yes, I submitted the 3 videos at the beginning of the Zoom. If you don't mind downloading them, or if you can. I was late.
You're gonna get in trouble, Benoit.
I just want Nick to get used to the computer.
I'm used to it. It's just old as shit. Yeah, a couple did come through.
Well,
As
the
we were-
the good news, he knows how to do it.
All right. Why did it do that? There we go. Good. Nailed those. Benoit, these are great.
Yeah.
Yes. I love everything about these. You've got that position figured out.
I elevated my hips.
Yep.
On that one.
Less thinky, more pulley is what just happened. You look really wide on the grip.
I'm the same width as a bench press.
Okay.
And I don't know where to place my feet. Should they be
Wherever you can get a firm plant. When I'm this steep of an incline, I'm kind of like where you're at, a little bit more under me and less out front.
Okay. Yeah, that was the filmmaker.
Come on, internet.
And here I didn't use elastics. I used the bench, put
Totally
my feet
fine.
on them.
So it's interesting you did that. Did you see this somewhere, or was it just like on the spot? I have an idea.
What's the question?
Did you see someone doing it this way, or was this like an on the spot you had an idea?
No, it's the way I would use it. I would do it in the past before I was able to lift my own weight.
Because when I like in person help coach the pull up,
Mm-hmm.
I actually have them cross their feet behind them like that, and I put my hands on the top of their feet to allow them to push into my hands a little bit. And it's the same position, but you just did it without a human and did it with a bench, and I thought that was clever.
Okay. Well,
how's the
it just happened that the bench was there, so I tried it that way, and it felt comfortable.
No, I've never thought of this. This is brilliant. It's the same position as if I was standing there behind them with their feet in my hands. It does the same thing. It allows you to get some extension to assist, like a leg extension to assist with the pull up. So this is, I'm gonna put this in my back pocket. I love this. Good job. How's the lat? Talk to me.
Yeah, so my lats, both lats are tight. So I started stretching them before doing the exercise, and I think that if I can warm up by unloading the weight a little bit before doing real pull-ups, like doing some kind of workups, that would help a lot to remove the pain. So that's my idea for now.
So go through the lat stretching sequences that I put out for front squats every day. And then it basically you need to work up to your pull-up weight, it sounds like, because we've got some extra lat tension, which happens with training. Sometimes the bicep, the lats, whatever. It body parts do that. So you need to work up to the full-on weight of pull-ups just like you would on a squat, a bench, a deadlift. And that's okay. But it's a good sign.
Yes. Yeah, I feel them very tight, and when I stretch them, like leaning on my squat rack, it feels much better afterwards. When I do the pull-ups, it doesn't pull as much in the muscle.
So it sounds like they're just tight and we need to open them up. Time for homework.
Yeah. Thank you very much for getting back to my late videos.
Yes, sir. You and Lillian. Much better, dude. Nail these. 10 out of 10. That's how kickstand RDL should look. Well done. Great. Yeah. Good bar path. Nailed it. Chest supported rows like that, they're kind of hard to fuck up. Anything chest supported. But that's the beauty of them, is it's just a very self-tracking movement. Great assistance work. Your shoulder mobility is stupid. I think my shoulders would separate going that deep. Good for you. I mean, these are great, man. Looking jacked, dude. Look at that vein, man. Shredded. Fuck yeah, dude. Well done. All right. So that was the actual last of the videos. Jonathan has his hand raised. Go ahead, man.
Hey Nick, how's it going?
Good, you.
I got two questions, if I can ask two quick ones.
Sure.
So the first one, I was reading somewhere that like neutral grip on things like barbell or not barbell, dumbbell bench press is better in terms of like keeping your elbows tight. It works a little bit differently in terms of mechanical tension. I just didn't know whether there's any truth to that or whether it was, whether that's something that, is worth throwing into the mix for dumbbell bench press and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean that is true. If you think about where the I explain to people like this: when we walk like this, right? We don't walk like this. So it is a much more natural position to press in that neutral or 3/4 with dumbbell. When I dumbbell bench, I'm at the 3/4. I'm not here, but I'm not here. I'm here. It's just much more of a natural position and allows me to stay together much more. But I compete in strongman. We don't have a bench press. It is an assistance movement to my overhead press. So I don't care about bench pressing. When someone asks me how much I bench, I which never fails, and I tell them I don't know. They're like, "How do you not know?" I'm like, "Because I don't fucking barbell bench unless it's off season, and it's never anywhere near 1 rep max." So yes, there is truth to it, but that doesn't mean you can't in, say, a barbell position. It just takes it's more subtle. So you don't want the elbows to collapse because then you're inside the bar, right? You're snapping, and what that's doing is it's turning on our back. So it's here, and then our elbows flare on the press, just like a dumbbell. Even in that 3/4, our elbows are going to stay intact and underneath the bar. So, or I'm sorry, the dumbbell. And then as we press, we do get a flare towards the top when our triceps start to take over and our chest is heavily involved because the lower portion is very lat and chest heavy. The upper portion transitions from chest into tricep. So it's just a sequence of each muscle group passing the load off to one another as through different lengths of the rep. So yes, there is truth, but it's nuanced, right?
Right.
If you're not powerlifting, it's totally valid. I do it to dumbbell bench in that 3/4 or neutral grip. One of my favorite things to bench with is the Swiss bar with the angled grips because it makes my shoulders feel good. And my shoulders got to feel good because I need to use them to overhead press shit ton of weight. So I prefer it. I also had a partial tear in my labrum in the military. So my left shoulder does get pissed off after a lot of volume on bench press just because of where the tear was and the scar tissue. It's strong. I'm not worried about it re-tearing. I just don't feel like dealing with the pain because I need it to not be pissed off when I do my overhead movements. So, yes, it's valid. Yes, it tracks. But like everything in this, there's nuances. So it's not necessarily better. It's only better depending on the person, if that makes sense.
No, that's fair. I was giving it a try just to kind of throw something to it because I mean, doing barbell bench, you keep the flat grip, but I just thought it might be worth throwing into the mix.
Yeah, if that's how you want a dumbbell bench press, fine.
Sweet. The other question I had was just with the rack pulls. I'm starting the Maximize Your Strength program, and rack pulls are up next. Where kind of on the leg should we be setting the pins for that? Is it like a 50% thing or?
So it's not a black and white answer. It is when you stall. If you slow down in the mid range on the deadlift, where do you slow down?
Okay. I think for me, the biggest thing was when I was asking you about last time in terms of the grip and starting from the bottom, that was always the first 4 or 5 inches was always my worst part of it. So would it, for a rack pull, then would it help to set it a little bit lower in terms of that, like obviously not right to the ground, but like more
No,
than
the
50%
rack
if
pull
the
is
bottom
elevated.
half is my struggle.
The rack pull is elevated.
Yeah.
I would work bottom half would either be deficits or pauses. So the rack pull is higher. So typically for me, my rack pulls are right in front of my kneecap for the most part. Because that's where I stall. Typically, if I stall, is somewhere between mid shin and kneecap. So I work my rack pulls a little bit on the longer side of the range of motion because if I get to here, I'm coming up with that motherfucker every single time. I don't need, for me and my application, I don't need to get stronger here because I'm doing so many other things. I'm hinging with sandbags and stones. So for me, from here to here is not a thought in my mind. Some people it is. If they stall here, have a weak lockout, rack pulls in that range of motion have a purpose. So if you're slow at the knee, just above the knee, or anywhere from here, that's typically where you'd want to assign the rack pull. And you can start high and work your way down and see what that translates to, or you can watch some of your deadlifting and look in the rep. Where did I slow down at the knee? Do I have a soft lockout? Things like that. And that's where you can implement your rack pull. But somewhere between the kneecap and mid thigh is probably where you're going to be.
Okay. No, that makes perfect sense. Thanks, Nick.
Yes, sir. Bart, you were up next.
Thank you. So Nick, first question is, some of your videos are not on the Pump Up YouTube channel. They are only on the Instagram. Could you upload them like some short? Some of them are there, some of them are on Instagram, and some of them are not available if you don't log in. And sorry, I love you guys, but I'm not gonna make an account on Instagram.
What videos? Like the stuff that like the content I do with like some of the like stretches and stuff?
Some tips, like I'm not quite sure if the one with the front squat exercises, stretches. I think it's there, but I don't think every one of your shorts, of your pump clap shorts, are on the YouTube channel.
I don't think they've uploaded those onto the YouTube or anywhere else. But I can talk to Catch and Adam and see about recording videos for the app and the YouTube where they can live permanently and people can find. I think that is totally an option. It's just a matter of
if there was some like policy or someone wasn't supposed to be on both accounts.
Yeah, so like you want something kind of like the masterclass videos.
Yeah. Like some videos are even on the channel, but are not available to the public if you don't have the link. I guess, but master classes are not visible, but they are visible in the playlist, so they are available. Okay, and the second one, if I'm struggling, like the deadlift, the worst part for me is to pick it up from the ground. So could I focus more on deficit deadlift or just picking it up? Because I usually with deadlift, it's Romanian deadlifts, it's kick standard, and
what program are you on?
I'm on Dumbbell Foundation, and if I can, my wife and my kids let me, I go to the gym and then I switch to barbell, but I couldn't go as constantly to the gym. So my dumbbells are quite heavy. They could go to 150 pounds, I guess. And they will be, if I will try to deadlift with them without any boxes or anything, it will be a deficit deadlift. So will that help me? Or because like
deficits can help with off the floor power. That is one of their primary functions, as well as you can pause like 1 inch off the floor, 1/4 inch off the floor, like 1,000, 2 1,000, and then continue the rep. So those are two options where you can apply to help with off the floor. But yeah, you can start doing deficits 1000%.
Okay. If I don't go to the gym, I will try the deficit like normal deadlift without touch and go, but with my dumbbells, they are lower, so it will be a deficit without.
Good.
Okay, thank you, Nick.
Yes, sir. Noel.
Hi, Nick. With my barefoot elevated split squat, it kind of glitched, and I never caught all of what you're saying. So you want the back toe back more, the front leg forward more, and maybe torso up straighter.
So when my back foot is, so I'm going to use this chair with wheels, which is a terrible idea. I have like midfoot. I need my ankle to be able to hinge. See how instead of my tippy toes, I'm the meat of my foot, and I'm free all the way to the floor. But it's more stable. So our width, our spread is person to person. So I back up to where my calves or the back of my knees are up against whatever I'm putting on. And then I take like one full normal gait forward, and then I kick my foot up. And then I sit down directly between my heels so I can maintain an upright torso. I'm not folding into it, and I'm not pushing back or drifting forward.
Yeah, so try and keep the torso more straight.
Yes, nice and vertical, like kind of like a goblet squat.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Thank you, Nick.
Of course. Anyone else? No more questions.
Just one quick one. Do you have like stretch exercises for your forearms and like around here just to get them like loose and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you can do the thing where, where I was telling people to sit down and turn their hands 90 degrees with their fingertips on the floor and push their palms to that's one. I do one where you kind of like knead it, with a barbell and a rack, and you push your fingertips into it.
Okay.
Coming down is another one. But that's really kind of it. Why? What's going on?
So after maximize strength, I think the strain on all the weight like bugs me now a little bit. I mean, it's getting better, but it was like pain to grip stuff, and I don't know. It kind of felt like tennis elbow, but I don't know.
Start working your extensors. So like hair ties or rubber bands, fingertips, and work on the open.
Okay.
That's something I do when my forearms and elbows start acting up. You just start contrasting, and it actually relieves it over the.
So you had like a rubber band or something, and just
they make like ones that are a couple bucks on Amazon. They have like little finger holes in them, and they're rubber.
Okay.
Slide them on, and while you're sitting working, whatever you're doing, just open them.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
The old school way, the way we had a 5-gallon bucket full of rice, uncooked rice. And you punch your hand and you drive it in and you try to open it as hard as you can. And then you slowly pull it up and it gets easier and easier to open. And then you just rinse and repeat. And that's how I was taught.
That's like a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Yeah, it's a real thing to work your extensors. It's better than sand because sand's it's hard to get down in there. Whereas rice, it has some give. Yeah, that was one we used to do.
All right. I will not do the rice one, but yeah.
How much rice do you need?
What was however much it needs to fill a 5-gallon bucket. So like, I don't know, 20-pound bag of rice, give or take.
Like 10 kilos.
Yeah, like about 10 kilos.
But I don't recommend eating the rice after.
No. Fill that shit out.
That's all right. Nick, if I can ask the last one question, because with the dumbbells, well, my deficit, the grip is usually failing me. I'm using straps, but on the barbell, you have to try over and under. and it's not better. But I couldn't do it on dumbbells. Or could I?
Over under?
With dumbbells,
No,
it would. Yeah,
no, because
didn't.
they would just twist.
Yeah. I tried it,
Yeah.
so that.
No, double
Okay.
overhand or with straps, because the dumbbell, the dumbbells don't do what the barbell does, which the barbell spins. So going over under on a dumbbell has no gain. It's just gonna feel really fucking weird. So the barbell spins. So the over under, it cancels the rotation because your hands are trying to turn into each other. Versus if you're double overhand on a barbell, it tries to spin out of your hands. So that's where the over under comes into play on the barbell. On a dumbbell, it's not the same because the dumbbell, now there are dumbbells that spin, but being that they're separate, going over under doesn't do anything because they're not connected.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Benoit, it looks like someone's asking about your chicken leg socks in the chat. Anybody else have any questions?
I have a question, Nick, if you've got a moment, please.
Sure, hit me.
So I'm doing goblet squats, and I've got up to like 25K, but I actually use a weight plate instead, so it's in front of me. Would
Yep.
that still be okay?
Still valid.
Still valid, okay.
If you can hold it there, it's a
Yeah.
valid option. I don't care if it's a sandbag, a dumbbell, a goat, whatever you want to use. If you can
Yeah.
hold it there in the front rack position for a goblet squat, that's really all that matters.
So if my hands are a little bit out, like a little bit extended out, it's still fine.
Yeah, it's just you're gonna have to fight it more.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to achieve fighting it more, so less weight but more tension, kind of.
Yeah, valid.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Always.
And
Next
Nick,
question. Hit me.
talking about dumbbell front squat or goblet squats, what's the purpose of using dumbbells instead of just a barbell, where we know that it's always a struggle to hold the weights up here? And I was thinking about like some kind of building something that could land on my shoulders, but then I was like, why don't just use the barbell?
So you're asking the function difference between a goblet squat and a standard front squat.
Yes.
Goblet squat is an assistance movement. Front squat is a compound primary movement. Meaning goblet squat is done to assist and attack more of a quad heavy variation of the squat, whereas the front squat you can load much heavier and is much more full body taxing than a goblet squat.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So the goblet squat is to target the quads, you're saying?
Yes. More quad heavy. Because
Why is it more quad heavy?
Because it forces you to stay more upright. So
Okay.
if you notice when you goblet squat, how you can go way deeper and you're way more vertical.
Mm-hmm.
It's you're hitting more quads that way. And they're harder under a lighter load because they're not hitting the glutes, the hamstrings, and everything collectively like you do with a front squat. Yes, you're not isolating the quad. The isolation is a very loose term in this. You can't perfectly isolate anything. But it is an assistance. It is used to assist the bigger compound movement. So that is why you see them typically after in a workout setting program, after in with the other assistance movements, leg extensions, things of that nature, or in a setting without a barbell or big weight access, it then becomes the primary because you simply don't have the option.
Mm-hmm. Like a recurrent struggle we have is holding the dumbbells on top, and when it gets to having like much heavier dumbbells, then I'm trying to find a way to make it some kind of comfortable and make it so that I'm able to hold them there, so that the effort goes into my legs and not just my arms. Because if I'm not strong enough in my arms holding the dumbbells on the shoulders, then I'm maybe going. I'm not getting the purpose of the exercise.
I mean, you're splitting hairs, kind of, is the best way to put it here. Is I use comfortable as a loose term. There's plenty of exercises that I do where like it doesn't feel the best way to hold it, but it is the way, and it just sucks. And I'm I guess conditioned to like, man, this sucks, but this is how I'm supposed to do it. It is what it is. I'm gonna deal with it. So I don't really things like front squats we know aren't comfortable by nature. So I hold a heavy dumbbell, big heavy dumbbell here, like this, underneath my chin. And I'm biomechanically much more supported because it's not out, it's not away from me. It's here, and my elbows are tight against my body, so it keeps me from dipping down because my elbows are up against my torso. Whereas this method, if that's the way you're doing them, you really have to balance. And it's going to create more effort out of the core because they're higher and you're spread out trying to keep them up here, which is fine. It's a valid option. But each method has its, say, trade-off. So if you're looking for something that is, if you're coming at this with the approach, what is the most optimal way, X, Y, and Z to do this? It's going to be person to person, really. For me, I prefer a big, heavy dumbbell here. Plain as, simple as.
Yeah, I also like the heavy dumbbell here, but then I'm stuck with the 80-pound dumbbell, and I wanted to go like higher, so I decided to use 250-pound dumbbell and then on the shoulders. But then the way I'm holding them, if I make them touch in front of me, then it gets easier because it's more stable. But they slip a little bit sometimes, and they crush my jaw and stuff like that. So I decided to kind of turn them upside that way. But then we lean a little bit forward when we go when we bend our knees. So the weight being forward makes it very difficult to keep straight. And I was like, so why am I doing all this? Why am I doing all this if the purpose is to add weight, and doing front squat with a barbell is, I find it much easier and even some kind of comfortable. So
the front squat is easier at the same weight than the goblet squat, is what you're saying.
Oh yes, definitely.
Well, yeah, that's why you can do 200 pounds more with a front squat than you can with a goblet squat. You shouldn't. They're not equal.
Yeah.
Comparing an apple and an orange, and trying to be like, well, why aren't they the same? Because one's an apple and one's a fucking orange. So let the orange be the orange, let the apple be the apple. right? So
you know that we're trying to be creative when we work out in a garage gym
Yes.
and not at a real gym. So I was like adding a weighted vest, and I was adding some weighted belts around my wrists, and I'm always trying to find ways to add weights. So that's the reason why that's the reason why I swapped the goblet squat to the dumbbell front squat. But then it's how we hold the dumbbells that makes it complicated. While if I use the barbell, and that's where I go. That's why I go to I compare the dumbbell front squat with the barbell front squat. That's the reason why I'm doing the comparison, because where I struggle is using the dumbbells, and that's just for the purpose of adding weight. Like if I were able to find a way to hold them there with them without moving, then I could lift much heavier. But then just because it's not stable, like I'm thinking about attaching the dumbbells together so that they get stable. And
you're trying to make something that's harder easier because the lift's harder. So you're trying to take the thing that makes it harder out of the situation, then you take away from the variation.
Probably,
so
yes.
It's like, okay, a Zercher squat where you hold the bar here in the crutches of your arms. It's harder. It's like, well, man, if I can hold it without dropping it and then I can make it easier, I could do more weight. Well, then I could front squat, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But that's the purpose, is you have to fight for your life to hold the bar here down in that bottom and get your hips back through. That's what makes the Zercher. So the stabilization element that comes with the dumbbells is part of it. So trying to find a solution to eliminate that, you might as well fuck a front squat, because the front squat is much more stable because we have a barbell. It's balanced. We have bigger dictation on the implement in that rack position. The dumbbells up here are harder to stabilize. Guess what that means? We need to get
more.
Stronger. We need more brace. We need bigger contraction. So yes, we're going to do substantially less weight with higher effort with things like a dumbbell front squat, because of why is it that most people can bench press more than they dumbbell bench press, right? That's the same question you're kind of asking, is because you have to individually stabilize the dumbbells in a dumbbell bench press. Why can I overhead press on an axle more than I can do on a dumbbell? The stabilization factor, plain and simple. So you don't want to take away from the thing that makes the lift that lift, because then you're just turning it into something else. So I think this is a matter of a little bit of, a whole lot of overthinking, and trying to make something, turning it into something else versus letting it be what it is.
I think I have too much room for creativity, and I need some guidelines where like to bring me back to what's the purpose of that specific exercise. So if you say like because like you could for the front the bar, the the dumbbell front squat, there's so many ways to hold the dumbbells. Like it could be either in front of you, just tucked to the chin, or it could be on the shoulders. So it does change a lot the difficulty of the exercise on the depending on where you place the dumbbell. And I'm like, so this creates room for creativity, and I want to know the sweet spot where you can lift the most weight, but also stay in the range of what is considered a dumbbell front squat.
It's so the thing that makes the goblet squat is the singular item, right? And that front load.
Yes.
The dumbbell front squat, typically you have one in each hand.
Yes.
And whether you have them up here, you have them down here with them turned in, is really preference and what's available for you, range of motion and weight wise. So again, you're trying to look for a black and white answer in a nuanced situation. So that's the thing you're going to have to get your mind to accept, is there are nuances at every single turn of this, because there's no cookie cutter to any of this outside of the hard yeses and nos with certain lifts. Where you're holding the weight isn't a hard yes or no answer. I mean, as long as you're not obviously holding them down here for a dumbbell front squat is a hard no.
Yes.
But whether you do it here, whether you do it here, whether you do it here, I wouldn't recommend this. Here or here is loaded in nuance, because someone's going to move differently and going to find, Andres might find a different variation from you more comfortable with where he holds the dumbbell. So it's, for me to answer that question for you is really, really hard, because I'm not in your body. So I know when it comes to me dumbbell front squatting, I hold them kind of here at like a 45 with one end of the dumbbell on my shoulders. I don't hold them completely vertical. I hold them kind of 45, but I know it's going to cost more of the bracing here. But I go, well, that's part of it. That's the point. Versus trying to find a way to make it more optimal. This isn't about how we make everything more comfortable, more optimal. Certain exercises are supposed to suck a little more. That's just what it is. So
because when you say you hold them here like that, you agree that if we were able to not to hold the handle, but to grab the weight like more forward, that would make it easier.
Yeah, but why would you do that?
For the to make it to be able to bear more load.
If I do push-ups on my knees, I can do more push-ups.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you're trying to make something into something else.
Yeah, and I was like, if it's the way that I hold the dumbbell that makes it difficult, maybe I should change the way I hold the dumbbell. But then that brought me to doing barbell front squat.
Well, yeah, you're trying to make a dumbbell front squat, not a dumbbell front squat. Is basically what you're asking, versus letting it be a dumbbell front squat, letting it be harder.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to create a solution where there isn't one required. Just let it be fucking harder.
I kind of know what Benoit is saying, because I also usually only have a dumbbells, and I don't want to fuck up the program. But if I have to do heavy front dumbbell squats, I couldn't get the braces. He's holding me, not the weight, because on the 50 reps it's okay, but on 4 reps it's impossible to do with dumbbells for me with the weight, because I'm gonna fall over, and it's not the legs that couldn't hold the weight, but the brace. So I guess it's
let me ask you this: when you fail on a barbell squat,
problem, yeah.
When you fail on a barbell squat,
it's with the.
I'm just going to put it like this. When you see, or when you fail, or when you see someone fail on a barbell squat, what usually happens? They fold. That's not your legs failing. That's this. This, folks, for everyone in here, this part of our body will forever be weaker than our legs. It is the impossible game that we're playing. Yes, it will get stronger, but why is it that when we get on a leg press, you're like, oh man, I leg pressed 800 pounds. You can't squat 800 pounds. And yes, the leg press is on an angle. You're not actually leg pressing 800 pounds when you calculate leverage. But why is it that you can bear so much more weight when your legs are isolated because your core is no longer in the situation. So you're trying to eliminate this thing that is crucial to every single lift that we do to make it easier. Oh, I'm not taxing my legs. Just fucking squat. Let the squat be a squat, goddammit. Stop trying to solve a problem that's not actually a problem. The actual problem is that this shit right here is weak. So by doing the harder thing and going, man, I'm starting to fold, we brace harder. In turn, we get a stronger core.
Mm-hmm.
So then it becomes stronger. Why is the dumbbell squat harder? Because it is not this linear bar thing that we can control much easier. So this is where the assistance comes in, right? It is working our quads, but is also forcing us to stabilize, which transfers into a stronger brace, stronger quad. So you're looking at it as you're trying to streamline a thing that isn't meant to be easier. So you thought way past the thing that needs to be thought about. You're trying to essentially make it something else versus letting it be a front squat. You're like, well, if I hold the dumbbells like dumbbells, it's harder. But if I'm able to rig it up and hold it, well, then you've now made a different lift. So
Yes,
it's just figuring out, do I like it like this? Do I like it like this? Do I like it like this? And letting it be a dumbbell front squat and just fighting with that midsection and bracing hard and letting it tax. It's because it's part of the sequence. It's part of the front squat. It's something we use when we bench. And this is constantly load bearing, right? So it has to be load bearing. So to try and eliminate and make it easier is only going to transfer to that potentially being weaker on the main lift. So you want, if something's hard, it means it's hitting something that might be weak, potentially. So reason being, when I do these physical therapy exercises, when I was rehabbing my shoulder, I was using a 1 pound weight doing these rotational stuff. At no point did I go, man, these are hard. How do I make them fucking easier? It's supposed to be hard. And I tell you what, there's nothing more humbling being a strong dude and then having 1 pound absolutely flatline you. It is like, what is this sorcery? Right? So then, 6 months go by and I'm doing it with 10 pounds. Like, okay, I get it. But why is that harder with a little bit of weight, whereas I can put almost 400 pounds over my head? That's kind of an exaggerated version of what you're asking.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's because it's harder. It's as simple as that. Could I figure out a way to make that easier and get better leverage? Yeah, I could drop my elbow, I could rotate, I could go into a press, but it now defeats the purpose of the movement. So if I'm trying to load that dumbbell and force stabilization, which is essentially anything you're doing with dumbbells is doing, it's forcing stabilization, which is why any dumbbell movement is going to be less weight overall. And I mean, you have 500-pound benchers and they're benching 160 pounds dumbbells and they're getting 3 to 4 reps. Whereas if they have 400 pounds on the bar, they're getting 6-7 reps because they got to stabilize them. So that's what you're doing. It's adding another element to it that you wouldn't get with the barbell, which is why we do it, because it is assisting, hence the assistance, the main mover. It's hitting things that it doesn't hit as hard with the main mover. Yes, the front squat taxes you, it tries to fold you, but it does so through overall load. Versus, why is a front squat harder than a back squat? Well, man, if I could get the bar back behind my head, back squat, I could squat more weight, right? Hey, now we're doing something else. Now we're back squatting. And it's easier. So if you're trying to problem solve how to make this easier versus just figuring out which of these positions and bracing harder and just doing the squat and letting it be what it is, that's the answer. Let it be a dumbbell squat. You're trying to make it something else. And you're way overthinking it. And you're trying to simplify something and making it more complicated.
Yeah, there are two things that I still need to learn is the difference of between the purpose of each exercise, between a squat, a front squat, a dumbbell front squat. There's different purposes, so I need to learn what are the specific purpose of each one. Because I was like, why is it that I lift so light with dumbbells while I'm able to lift so much more weight with the barbell? So your explanation is really good to understand that. And when I'm doing the dumbbell front squat, the place where I lose it is that the dumbbell, I hold them there, and then on my way up, they just drop. Like my arms, I lose them.
So you've got to activate. You've got to actively. It is not a passive thing like a front squat. Yes, you have active and passive things, right? So especially when a cue is new, it is a very active thing. We have to have it in the front of our head. Our body just doesn't do it. So with that dumbbell thing, the holding the dumbbells there is active stabilization. It's not, whereas a brace becomes passive. Yes, technically we're actively bracing, but we do it automatic. So I consider it passive. It's not something we're thinking about. We just embrace. It is just something we know to do. Whereas this is, we have to actively fight for the stability of the dumbbells. So, okay, they're going to try and come forward. So I have to fight. I have to input actively to keep those dumbbells where they're supposed to be. And that's fine.
Yeah. And I was trying to avoid that fight because I thought the purpose was the legs rather than legs and that fight as well.
Yep. They're one and the same with dumbbells. They're always one and the same. Stability is always, it's like a waiter's walk, right? Inherently, we think it's for overhead stability. But what do we feel? What is part of overhead stability? This section. So yes, it helps with stability here, but it's also linking all of this together because from the hips up have to stabilize it. So same thing is at no point in any squat variation is the core not load bearing. So why would we, outside of an injury or a rehab, take that out of the equation? Because our legs are already by nature going to be stronger than our core. So in no setting, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense to just target a variation like a leg. This is why outside of injury and rehab, I think a leg press is fucking useless because it isn't hitting the things that require to make a squat go up outside of just our legs. I think it's a great, say, leg finisher. We can put our feet lower on the platform to target more quad, higher to target more hamstring. And we can do single leg. It's a great finisher, but it should never take place of a squat if there is no injury necessity involved because it makes it easier because it takes away from the thing that has to bear weight, which is our core. And if our core is constantly lagging, it's going to be, which it is, but if it's very detrimental, it's going to be why it's going to hold you back on your deadlift. It's going to hold you back on your squat. It's going to hold you back on your overhead. It's going to hold you back on your bench press. So having that element, the assistance of the dumbbell, it's targeting, yes, the quad heavy version of the legs, but it's also targeting the stability version. So it's assisting two different ways on a main mover.
Like we tell people when they are holding the dumbbells in front of them, we tell them if you want to make it easier, then put it on your shoulders. So I was like, if there's room to make it easier, then maybe when I place them there, I still need to think about finding a way to make it easier, even more easier. But then at that point, I'm losing the point of doing dumbbell front squat.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you very much for all the explanation. Maybe I sounded stubborn a bit, but I just wanted to make clear
That's why I'm here, man. If I can't explain these things to you, like you're one of our habitual overthinkers. So if there's a way to overthink it, I anticipate Benoit is gonna find that, or if not several. And that's okay because it keeps me sharp. It makes it so I may have to explain it in a different way. I've never had to explain that to somebody before. So, because typically they just do it. You know what I mean? And it's good to have, it's not that you're challenging me, like, well, why should I do it? It's like, it's challenging me in the sense that, okay, I have a way to, I now have to figure out how to way to explain to someone that views this differently. And I've got to hear them to understand why they think about it this way. So I know how to coach it so that they do it in a way that makes sense for them. And for you, it was you were coming from a standpoint, and correct me if I'm wrong, where you were trying to streamline it to make it as optimal as possible to do the most amount of weight as possible. When
Exactly.
yes, the goal is to do the most amount of weight as possible, get stronger, but that doesn't necessarily, that means simply getting stronger, not making the lift easier through leverage. You were trying to out leverage it even further. So I go, okay, how do I explain this to Benoit that you're changing the lift entirely by trying to make it anything other than the dumbbell squat versus letting it be the dumbbell squat and embracing the fact that it's going to be harder and thinking about, okay, how do I make this easier? Get stronger. Simple. 9 times out of 10, that's when it's not a motor skill issue, my answer is going to be get fucking stronger.
Yeah, you know, like a place where I understand now that we are kind of cheating is when I say that I put on a weighted vest. So it puts more weight, but it's not
legs.
weight. It's more weight on my legs, but it's not more weight on my upper body and my arms. So so that weighted vest is out of the purpose of the dumbbell front squat.
Yes, but not completely. Yes and no. Yes, it is because it's not adding to why that variation is difficult, but it is adding to overall load. And if you're in a situation where your load is limited in weight, adding on the weighted vest, I won't ever argue because you're making it harder via total tonnage versus where the weight is loaded, right? So outside of, I mean, you're at a point now where I think you need to get a heavier dumbbell.
Yeah. I'm talking 80 pound, but you see, I was thinking about removing the vest, removing the weighted the weighted wrist belt, and then use those 80-pound dumbbell for the dumbbell front squat. But then they are too heavy for me to bring them there and be comfortable with them there, holding them there for the full series, for the full series set, the full set. So that's where I learned that using the vest is out of the purpose of the dumbbell.
In more or less, yeah. So yeah, it's all good. We just needed to get you to wanting to understand the why is never out of line. I mean, I've had to explain whys for several things. You know, I've coached athletes that are like, well, why are we doing this? I see someone doing this. Like, well, they don't have a glass back. You do. So you're not doing that, and we're doing this. And, you know, that might be a hard to swallow pill, but it's a thing of why this is so nuanced and not cookie cutter for everyone. If I were to coach Michael's deadlift like your deadlift, it wouldn't do him any good because he pulls differently and he's at a different stage of his pull than you are. You also think differently. So this is where this coaching in a mass format is harder for people that like to coach in depth. because it's a matter of how can I balance quality and really digging in on someone, but have enough time to get to everyone, right? That is the hardest part about this is, yeah, my Zooms take longer, but I don't want to just breeze through someone's form check and not give them time. Sometimes there's not a lot to say on someone's form check. It's very direct, and that's fine. That's what it needs. But being able to really intimately, like the hard part is, sometimes I give someone homework. Hey, I want to see you do this. Sometimes them putting it in the title, tempo squats for whatever, helps me go, oh yeah, it brings back the context over a week and 80 form checks later. I am not a savant in the realm of being able to just retain who's who, what's what. So those little things at the top help me bring me back to the context of what I assigned you the following week, because I might forget. I probably will forget because there's such a high volume.
That's
Whereas like when I have a couple like athletes I coach with my coach Tom, Rosie is one I'm coaching now. She's a world-class middleweight strong woman, and I have an app. Well, it's not my app, it's Winning Strength, where it's very in depth. They log everything all the way. I can see how long their rest periods are because there's a timer. I can see, whereas this app is user focused. The app I'm coaching on is coaching focused. So it's a little more tedious for the athlete, but it makes sure that I have everything I need to coach, and a coach can comfortably coach 24 athletes and keep track of the data. So I don't get that here. So it's all of what I'm taking notes on my phone, my book, who's who, what's what. It's very chaotic because there's no structure for that yet. And as this grows, that's something we're figuring out, is how do I stay in the trenches with you guys when we get to a point of hopefully 200 submissions? Because at that point, I'm not going to be able to do one video. I'm going to have to do two. And that's a good thing, but how are we going to be able to field that without sacrificing quality? Because being able to coach that many people at a high level of quality is really fucking hard to do and incredibly time consuming. And I don't ever want, that's why I've never coached as an app, because I never believed in them, because I couldn't do this. This wasn't an option. And I don't like being removed from the coaching. The coaching, I hate programming, but I'm good at it because out of necessity. It's part of it. But I like being able to coach and problem solve. And when you get to mass quantities, it becomes increasingly harder to do. So we're actively trying to figure out that as it grows and figuring out how we can maintain that quality. So people are like, man, it's not like it used to be. Well, yeah. How would you coach 300 fucking people? Right?
exactly.
Like, it's hard. And I don't want to lose that. So it might be as simple as I do these 3 times a week in shorter time spans to accumulate the more volume, so everyone can ask the question you need to ask. Because I don't know as many people that think like you do. Like, I don't know if that question you just asked is coming from anything other than Benoit. I don't think anyone else is asking that question. And that's
No
fine.
way. Hell no.
But that's fine. That's where, there's a lot of questions I could ask where a lot of the people are thinking the same thing. But then there's the nuances, again, back to the nuances, where you have a Benoit that is thinking about this completely different than the majority. But in a mass setting, I might not be able to answer that question for you. And you're over there fiddle fucking around, adding a broomstick to your dumbbell and doing God knows what to make the squat more efficient, when I just need you to squat with the dumbbell. And this gives me a chance to eliminate that from being a problem for you, and you can move forward with a quiet mind, knowing, okay, this is what I need to do. And I was able to take the time to break it down to your level of understanding the way you needed to understand it, because the way you need to understand it might not be the way someone else needs to understand it. I guarantee, because no one else needed to understand it that way.
I know that I'm being told a lot by other members of the app that my questions, like they didn't have my questions, but it made them rethink how they were doing it, and then they noticed that they were doing it wrong, and my question helped them to improve their way of doing the exercise as well. So that's the reason also why I was like, I should ask it, even though I was doing it, but
We need to start an overthinkers group in the app, and then the whole purpose is going to be so I can have you all in one spot. And when you ask a question like that, I can just respond, just fucking squat. It's going to be a whole bunch of overthinkers and a whole bunch of under-explaining.
Exactly.
So that I have you all in one group, and I can just collectively.
Yeah. So my weighted vest, I shouldn't be inserting that amount of weight in the app as a dumbbell. Like it asks the weight used per side. So for now I was selecting 60 pounds, even though I was using 50-pound dumbbells, because I was counting my weighted vest.
No,
but
it's not adding to the dumbbell. It's not adding the load in the same place in the same way. So yeah, you can make like a mental note or like an external note, like with weighted vests to track. So it still makes sense when you look at the app, or like the way I coach with the Winning Strength app, there's a comment section. So they can like put in example for my coach when I do my prowler pushes. The other private gym I train out of that's just slightly closer, but doesn't have the strongman equipment, the prowler pushes I do on asphalt, pavement, versus the ones I do at Neversate are either on rubber matting or grass. And that differentiates how much load I'm able to load on the sled. So I will make note, yeah, my prowlers were lighter, but I was pushing on a rubber floor. So even though it was lighter, it was still harder because of the friction. So it's little things like that that even though I need to make note in, so when I go in and I look at my training and I see like, oh man, I'm going to try and go heavier this week on the prowlers. I remember how much it sucked last week, but I kind of wanted to suck a little bit more because I'm a little bit of a masochist. Let me add 10 pounds to the front of this sled and make it suck a little more. Whereas if I add the weight I add on the asphalt on the rubber mat, I'm done. Like I'm making it through half of the workout that I would normally do on the asphalt because of the friction difference. So that's a nuance for you to track, but it's not the same as loading the dumbbell. No.
Yeah, but you see that if I was counting the weight of my weighted vest, it means that I saw the purpose of that exercise as being targeted to my legs only. But then now that I understand that it also, the purpose is the fight up there, then I totally get why I should only count the weight of the dumbbells.
Correct.
All right. Thank you very much, Nick.
Yes, sir. Any other questions after that one? After that doozy? None at all.
No, there was another guy, but I think his hand got tired and he just dropped it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
Whoever that is, I apologize. The floor is yours now if you want it. No other questions. Everyone is satisfied. I don't think we have that many people left anyway. I think we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and me. Yeah. Cool. Alrighty then. We can close it off with that. Joe, how you doing? Good.
Yeah, we're all good, thank you. I've been lurking in the background cooking dinner, so I've been hidden most of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's the adjustment from the last call we had?
I have filmed it for you and I'm going to send it over. The eccentric step down's really difficult, but I put a band around my knee to activate the glutes on it, and that seems to be working. But
So
rotation's a work in progress.
if you want to, so for everyone wondering, she is someone I have to train more in the adaptive realm. She requires a little bit more specialized, not necessarily movements, but it requires me to be more hands-on because I can't. She has you. If you want to enlighten people, if you don't mind.
I've got a long-standing SIJ dysfunction in my pelvis, big imbalance. It's been there for years. So I'm just trying to work around how to rehab that in the best way possible because it's affected me for about 4 or 5 years now. So you've been a godsend.
So it's required a little bit more attention on my end outside of the app because it's just much, again, going back to nuances, it's much more nuanced, and I have to be able to troubleshoot. So I have to have a little bit more access to her and her movement patterns to kind of figure out where our reds and greens are and our left and right margins are. So that's what I was asking about, is because I meet with her, every other week, every 2 weeks or more or so, or as needed. As she has time to, when we implement a new movement, she has time to do it over a period of time, because none of this is, oh, it worked this week, it's good to go. That's just not how this shit works. It's a very time consuming thing. And I have a couple clients that I have to, of you guys, that I have to communicate with outside the app. And this is what I love about the Pump Club, is they gave me room to do this as I see fit, to treat the adaptive side of the, whether it's an extensive injury, life-standing injury, a condition like this, or cerebral palsy. They're giving me the room to field it, and figure out how to do this so we can actually do this coachably in a bigger quantity, to be kind of like a global leader of an app that can field adaptive athletes, and people that have these conditions, that want to work out missing limbs, whatever it is, and utilize my quote unquote specialty, if you will, to field that within an app, whereas I don't really know of anyone else doing it. So for right now, a lot of these people I'm fielding in WhatsApp. And it's just a very direct, simple way to do that in a manner of being that there's no outlet in the app where I can go in and communicate with the individual. So I have about at one point I had about 10 of them. Now she actually hopped in on, submitted a video. She lives on a boat, so it's actually pretty cool. She was like on a houseboat. We had a gentleman with clubfoot that I was working with. He kind of just took off on his own, which is a good thing. And then right now it's Colin I communicate with via email, and then you, and then I have my actual like strength athletes that I that's my only side gig, is I help Tom. He does majority of the programming, and then I coach. So I go in and tweak the program as needed on a weekly basis, because he knows I don't like the program. So maybe I'm coaching about 15 individuals outside the app. Some are with the pump, some are not. So I'm kind of in coaching brain all the time until I go to the gym or I go to the range. So that's when you hear me ask questions like that, it's because we've been communicating. I just wanted you guys to have context of why I was asking her the questions and what she was talking about, what we were talking about. So you guys were like, what the fuck is, like, what is this? So yes, I've been working with Joe about 3 months.
Yeah, it's about 3 months now. Yeah.
Yeah, we've increased some rotation, pain symptom, basically something that's chronic. I don't ever shoot for elimination. Of course, that's the ultimate goal. I play this in a short-term basis, so we get to each step individually of, okay, we've gone a week without a flare-up. We've gone, and then I had a flare-up. And then from that flare up, I had 2 weeks. So like that's kind of how I look at this stuff, because if I looked at it as like, oh man, I cured it, like I'd quit because that's an impossible thing to do up front. And I never guarantee it. But I do promise we can make it better. And that's just the goal on a day in, day out basis, is how to establish procedures where on a bad day, how she can operate and mitigate some of, like, take the edge off so she can operate with her daily duties and improve on that.
I haven't had a flare up now for 2 weeks, which is unheard of. So I'm very grateful for that.
I love hearing that.
So do I. I love saying it.
So I imagine what next week we'll probably have some, because it's been about a week or so, week and a half since our last call. So I imagine next week we'll get something on the books and we'll sit down and figure
Brilliant.
out what's been well. She's got to have time to build up her video submissions, so she can be like, and she gives me context at each one, like, this hurt, this is where it hurt, this is why. So then I have all the information, and we swapped out your lunges for step ups, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, because of the angle.
Yeah.
Brian, did you have your hand up? Do you have a question?
No, I was just giving cheers for the no flare ups.
Oh, right on.
Can I have a quick question? Sorry. I've been really indecisive. I've just finished the advanced foundation, and I've sort of chosen to do pumped next, but I can't help but think I should repeat the foundation. I just wondered what you think.
That's never a bad thing. How many times is this your first run through the foundation?
No, it's my third time through it. I've done the intermediate foundation, I've done the 4-day foundation, and I've just done this one. The only thing that slightly made me think to change program was the length of time phase 2 was taking in the gym, as it was about 2.5 hours.
I mean, pumped is good. That should be a good amount of volume. And it's not going to be as neurally taxing as, like, maximize your strength. Which I don't think is a bad thing either. It would just take some heavy modification on our end, behind the scenes on a weekly basis, so we can establish the goes and no-goes, and then so you know where to modify and what to modify and when to modify. Versus like, oh, that hurt me last week, let me bail on it, versus like, is this going to hurt every time, or is this going to be something that I can do on a good day, not a bad day type deal? So maybe running with pumped, and let's see how it goes.
Okay, thank you. That helps me make a decision. I was so indecisive.
When in doubt, flip a coin.
Yes, true. Thank you.
Yes. Anyone else? Or we can wrap it up. Alrighty. Well, I will catch you guys next week. It was a good one. It was fun. Benoit, think less, move more. And I'll catch y'all on the flip.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Of course. Later, guys.
Great job.
Thank you.